Hey folks, welcome back. Thank you for all the new subscribers. I appreciate that. Today I woke up thinking, well, it's been on my mind anyway for quite a while. Any of you that have watched any videos from my old channel, well, I'm going to go back there a little bit and talk about a little bit about preparedness. Now, ever since Helene, it got me thinking more on where my holes are. Now, just by the nature of how I live, I try to grow all my own food. You know, I live without running water, without any electric, no solar panels, and no plumbing, right? So my bathroom consists of a bathroom area with a 5-gallon bucket and a round toilet seat, and it's called the dry toilet system. And I have a special compost bin where it's done right, it heats up, I let it sit, and that bathroom compost, when it's completed, goes around my nut trees, my fruit trees, and my berry plants, right? My flowers, all of that. Is it safe once it's composted? Because I do it right. Is it safe to use in your garden? Specifically, is it safe in your garden with your root vegetables? Yes, it is. It's just a matter of getting over that thought for a lot of folks. So what I'm getting at is I'm going back to Helene. Folks, they've been completely decimated out there, living their normal everyday life, and then their life was turned right upside down. A lot of them did not make it. A lot of those folks who thought they were safe were not, because the rain came so hard, so heavy, the waters came very fast, right? You cannot stop the power of water, folks. The ones that were up in the mountains, I can't even imagine, folks, what they went through. I just can't imagine. I wouldn't want that on my worst enemy, folks. I just wouldn't. So today I want to talk about the basics, necessities to live. You need water. You need water to wash up. You need water to drink. You need water to cook with. You need water to clean. You need water, folks. Let's say you had all kinds of water around you, but it wasn't sanitized water. You know that old saying, water everywhere, not a drop to drink? Do you know how to gather water? Do you have the means to gather water? Do you have a water source around you? Provided you can't get it from the tap, right? Water is a necessity. Clean drinking water is a necessity. Do you know where your water source is? Can you get to that water source on foot? And can you get to that water source on foot with containers and then have the physical ability to haul that water back to your house? Water is very heavy. A 5-gallon bucket of water is 40 pounds, folks, right? It's very stressful on your body if you only carry one 5-gallon bucket in one hand, right? Because your body is really, really hard on your back. So let's say you have two 5-gallon buckets, and let's say you fill them. It behooves you to carry one in each hand, but that's 80 pounds. Will your knees take that? Will your back take that? Will your shoulders and neck take that? And that's provided you're walking on a flat surface with no obstacles. What if you have to go through the woods to a pond or a lake or a stream? Then you got all this debris, and here you are, you're carrying all this weight, and you have to step over a fallen tree or whatnot. Do you have the physical capability to haul water? Do you know how to take that and filter it? Do you have the means to filter it? Do you know how to sanitize? Will it look good? I live on a peat moss bog, folks. That is my backup water. Peat moss bog water is brown. It also stinks because peat moss is forever composting. It's decomposing. So it not only looks good, it also smells. There's a lot of beaver in that bog. There's a lot of turtles in that bog. My ducks and my geese go down there and spend all day on the bog. I know what they do in that bog. That bog is not safe. That bog water is not safe to drink. As is, I would have to go down, collect it, filter it, and sanitize it however you want to sanitize it, whether it's boiling it, whether it's treating it with pool shock or those little tablets or reverse osmosis or whatever. It has to be sanitized before you can drink it because filtering does not do it all. So that's a long and lengthy process in order to get drinking water that still looks brown and probably still smells, right? But it would be safe to drink, right? So do you have a secondary water source if you cannot get water from your home? Is it within, if you have to walk to it, is it a place where you can walk to, have easy access to, and do you have the physical ability to bring it back to your house? Do you have the know-how to filter it? Do you have the know-how to sanitize it? Do you know where that water came from? If there was a natural disaster and there was a bunch of chemicals coming down through, filtering it will do something. Boiling it will do a whole lot. But still, would you trust that water? If you know how to use pool shock, and there's a lot of videos out there. There's a lot of videos. I'm not giving you advice. I am telling you, go look and do your own research to make sure that you know exactly what you need and exactly how to do it. Do you have a way planned on how to go to the bathroom? If the plumbing isn't working for whatever reason, how are you going to go to the bathroom and remain safe while doing it? Because fecal matter is very toxic, right? Do you go out and you dig a hole in the ground, do your duty, and bury it? Do you do that every time? Do you make a pit and have a little outhouse? I don't know. Do you have a bucket with some sawdust or some peat moss or some coco coir so you can do your duty in there and bury it in the bucket? And when the bucket is where you want it, the level you want it, is there a place where you can dump that? If you eat, you're going to go to the bathroom. If you drink, you're going to urinate. You have to have a place to go to the bathroom, folks. and it's got to be where it's safe from harming you. Do you have food? Do you have food? Do you have enough water to cook? Now, I grow a lot of my own food, but I also buy things when they're on sale from the stores, right? They have what they call a family pack. It's 8 servings. It's an envelope, and it's all prepared for you. All you do for 8 servings, you add 8 cups of water and you bring that to a boil. It thickens up and it's really nice, right? That'll feed 8 people, but that takes 8 cups of water, right? And then you've got to clean up afterwards, right? Are you going to do dishes? And if not, are you going to use plastic spoons, forks, and knives? Are you going to have paper plates and bowls? Styrofoam cups? Well, styrofoam's really not good. Plastic cups to drink out of, so you do not have to do dishes. And then that's going to add up, right? Because if you have soup in a paper bowl, unless you lick it clean like a dog would, you have to have a place to dispose of that. And if you do not burn it in a burn barrel and do it safely, you don't have a burn barrel underneath a pine tree, folks, right? So the rats and the rodents and the animals do not come and get into that, which can bring more disease and whatnot, right? There's a lot to think of. When people talk about preparedness, a lot of people go to the doomsday Mad Max scenario. What we should do is, instead of going in that direction, think of the victims of Hurricane Helene. That's where we should be going. Now, granted, there were a lot of, from what I gather, there was some preppers, people that were prepared, who end up losing everything. That's always a possibility. That's why you take your items and you put them in 2 or 3 different places. So if one place gets destroyed, hopefully you can get to the other one and there's your backup, right? I don't know, folks. All I know is there are a lot of people out there who think that it can't happen to them. They're too preoccupied in what's happening down on the street corner to worry about themselves and preparing. A lot of people mock people who prepare. Right? So once you get your water, I personally, I think water is the most important thing you should start with, because you can go a long time without eating. You might not be happy about it, but you can go a long time, a lot longer without eating than you can with drinking water, right? And if you drink water that's unsafe, you get sick, and you have let's say you're throwing up, you have the backyard trots, you're going to need water, sterilized, sanitized water to drink, and probably something to combat the nausea, the vomiting, and the diarrhea, right? Water is number 1. Food, shelter, water. It's all so important, folks. Now, when something happens, it's not only physical stuff. It's not only having water on hand. It's not only having food on hand. It's not always having the ability to start a fire. You've got to have the kindling. You've got to have the skill. You've got to have something to burn, right? It is the emotional part of it as well. In any crisis, there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of anxiety. Do you have those coping skills in place? Are you the one that is pretty strong pretty strong and can handle that, is still going to affect you. Or are you one of the ones that's going to go crawling into a corner and cry and say, oh, why me? Why me? When something happens, when there's a crisis, when there's an emergency, those who are stronger minded are the ones that are going to carry the people who are crying in the corner. They need to get the ones crying in the corner, in my opinion, can stay crying in the corner because they're not making anything better for anyone else, including themselves, right? They're of no use to me. If something happens and you don't instantly become a fighter and let's fix this, let's get everything together that we need. If you can't think clearly, those are the people that I would want around me, not the ones that are going to be crying in a corner, not the ones that's going to be in a panic and they're doing more harm than good, if for nothing else, ruining everybody else's psyche, right? Right? I'd want somebody around me that's going to pull up their boots, tighten their belt, and put that imaginary seat belt on and dig in. So you got to have that mental strength. You've got to have the physical strength. You've got to have the emotional strength. You've got to have your wits about you and be able to think quickly and rationally during a crisis. Because anything besides being rational is a disservice to you and all those around you. Think about, you can go worst case scenario where you're running for your lives, which Helene, people were running for their lives, right? So it's definitely a possibility. So anyway, I'm not doing this because it's drama. I'm doing this because I love you and I want you safe. I want you prepared for whatever comes your way. Will there be holes and gaps? I'm sure there will be for all of us, but at least we'll be more prepared than most.